curiosity, and wonder. Let's discover together. It's Science Wow!
What is the role of a chicken on a farm? And how is a chicken connected to the rest of the living things around us? Our chickens help us on the farm by providing eggs, meat, and companionship. Let's check out the nesting boxes in this coop. Chickens will get cozy in the nesting box to lay their eggs. This is a good place for them to brood and care for them. Look what we see here. Eggs still very warm. Let's check and see if there are any here, if she's laid any. Oh, there we see she's laying on 2 eggs, keeping them warm. What is inside the egg anyway? For this investigation, you'll need a chicken egg, it can be brown or white. You'll need a bowl. You'll need a paper towel or a second bowl. And then optional is a toothpick and a magnifying lens. Let's take a close look at an egg. You can see with your eyes the bumpy, grainy texture of the outer shell. If you have a magnifying lens, you may be able to see tiny holes or pores in the shell. Our first step is to carefully tap the egg's hard shell against a table to crack the egg gently. We're going to use our fingers to slowly, carefully remove the shell piece by piece and see how far we can get before the membrane tears. When the membrane does tear, which it will, we're going to gently allow the egg contents to go into our bowl, trying our best not to break the yolk. Here we can see the outer shell and we can see the membrane. The membrane is a very thin, but very flexible and strong coating just inside the egg. It's much like our skin, made of keratin. If you look in the bottom of the larger end of the egg, you may see what we call the air cell. It's a bubble with air. It's formed at the time the egg is laid. You can press your finger gently and feel the bubble. Now let's look at the bowl with the yolk and the albumin. Try to find a division between the thin, clear albumin and the thick albumin. Albumin is 90% water and 10% protein. How can you tell the difference between the thick and the thin albumin? What does it look like? How is the color or the consistency different? Next, we're going to look at something called the Chalate. Those are 2 twisted white strands. They're either running underneath the yolk or extending out at either end of the yolk. See if you might be able to separate them, but you can at least see they're actually made of protein, twisted strands, and they help keep the yolk suspended between the 2 eggs. The yolk would have been food for the baby chick. If you look closely, you may see a white dot on the surface of the yolk. This is known as the germinal disc. Take your toothpick, very gently poke the yolk without breaking it, and you will feel another membrane. This membrane is called the vitelline membrane. It's a clear casing that keeps the yolk all contained. The yolk itself has protein, fat, vitamins, and minerals. All right, your last step is to pick up your bowl, rest it just above your second bowl, and pour your egg into your hand. Now you're going to pour your egg back and forth and let the albumin go through your fingers or between your hands. And keep the yolk in the palms of your hand. Now let the yolk roll back and forth between your palms. What does that feel like? What does it remind you of? Eventually, that vitelline membrane would become dry and would break, and then the yolk breaks. Congratulations! You've just completed your egg dissection. It's time to clean up your area. Make sure you dispose of your egg specimen and the paper into the trash can. Clean your bowls, especially wash down your table and your counters, and then wash your hands thoroughly with warm, soapy water for 20 seconds or more. So let's think about what we experienced today. Are the eggs we have fragile or strong? What do you think? What about the other living things on the farm? How are chickens connected to them? We already watched our chickens eating some of our insects and plants. Chickens also provide manure, a fancy way to say poop. This poop can be put in a compost pile, and after it's sat for a while, we can use it in our garden to provide food for our plants.
Here on the farm, we call this the nutrient cycle, when matter and energy are transferred and exchanged between different living things. Energy from the sun is used by our plants to make their own food. Our animals, including our goats, our chickens, and our decomposers, the worms, eat plants to stay alive. In turn, our animals provide food in the form of manure to feed our plants.
Thanks so much for joining us at MSU Tollgate Farm.